Hello, dear friends. We will look today at the diary of Lieutenant Brand, an officer of the Wehrmacht. His diary goes from June 28, 1943, the year he considers the darkest year in all German history. And such observations are not unreasonable, considering the great military failures on the Eastern Front, accompanied by the massive bombardment of large German cities by British-American aviation. The result was huge civilian losses and severe destructions. The diary shows well the decline in soldiers' morale caused by these and related events. There was a visible shadow of disaster over Germany. However, the German war machine was still holding on, resisting the countering with stubbornness and cruelty. According to his diary notes, Lieutenant Brand's unit was part of Army Group South, acting in the Donbas region. Its leading line of deeply layered defense was along the Seversky Donets and Mayas rivers. So now let us begin. June 28, 1943. A beautiful season is going by without any large missions. What I hope is that the Russians are not taking advantage of these long months for a premature attack. As of yesterday, there have been large tank divisions movements in our area. Perhaps that will result in a local encirclement at least. The gardens and fields here are in full bloom. The pumpkins, cabbage, potatoes, and sunflowers are like nothing we have ever seen in Germany. June 30th. In our area, large army movements keep taking place. Tank divisions move north to Kharkov area. I cannot say whether I am seeing preparations for a German offensive or just expecting a large Russian offensive. It seems to me to be the latter option. July 1st. None of the Russian counter-offensive that was expected for several days seems to have worked out yet. However, the movements of our forces continue. The Russian aircraft attack on our village tonight was heavy. Again, another 6 months has passed without any action at all. Our winter losses will not be over for a long time to be recovered. Serious military action by our side is barely possible, because everything is in deficit. Moreover, the British are ruining another German town after another. And the situation in Germany is bad. We cannot hope for an improvement. At every time I am horribly angry thinking of the result we have achieved in the 4th year of the war. I have no doubt that a lot of this would have been avoided if our leadership and our men had not been so foolish and arrogant. It makes me feel angry when I think of all the foolish statements that were made over the last few years. Our own propaganda has got us caught in its trap, and this despite such magnificent military victories, such valiant heroism and sacrifice. Now we are again in an unknown condition as in the First World War, with no hope for any improvement. While the ideas, wishes, and beginnings were all good, there was a German spring rising over Europe, but the carrying out of all plans more and more ended up in the hands of idiots and bureaucrats. The mediocrity grew in full bloom and consequently failed to tolerate any kind of criticism. Now it stands on the road to collapse and does not know what to do. The great idea, then, has been affected by this and is slowly dying. Now there will be a final battle for the German dream, for the dreams of a good 1,000 years. July 2nd. A beautiful summer day. The sunflowers are in bloom, but there is no happiness. Cologne is again heavily damaged. Every old German cultural treasure is going to be wiped out. While we can only do our duty, everyone in his place, and sometimes to raise our voice in warning. Above all, we must continually summon for endurance and try to increase the power of our resistance. Many times, I look at my son's picture. Where will he go in life? Would he want to become a soldier? July 3rd. It is often that I think about the confrontation of these two great worldviews, National Socialism and Bolshevism. Would it absolutely be necessary for them to tear each other apart? Would it be impossible for them to get along together? Are the contradictions between them really that deep? Would not future generations have great difficulties in trying to find the contradictions that did actually exist among this mountainous pile of lies? Would idealism really be finally destroyed in this war? Would American or European Russian materialism win the upper hand? This is something I will never believe in my life. In that case, the world would lose its last glory, and life would lose its sense. 4th of July. I repeated a report about German history in the divisional school today. The commander and gentlemen from the division came to attend. The SS Division Viking is again here with us. It is obvious that our offensive is about to begin. I guess we will soon have to give them ground in the village of Mechabelovka in the next few days. July 5th. The Vikings insist and rush. There are long discussions with their cheeky billeting officers. We will go, obviously, only if we are ordered to. I guess it will be as early as tomorrow. July 6th. Our offensive in the north of Kharkov began yesterday. This is what at least is being told by the SS men of the Viking Division, who were based here again 2 days ago. I hope this is true. This year we have had enough of it. Something has to be done about it. The officers from the SS Division seem surprised at the pessimism in our division. What they always forget is how much better conditions they are facing in comparison to us. Their very sight arouses in our tired, exhausted soldiers a feeling of true class hatred. What few remnants of men might be found in Germany joined our forces. They have gathered the best human material in all of Europe. Each of their sergeants would be a Feldfebel here, and they drink and enjoy themselves while our soldiers are often very hungry. Nevertheless, the SS soldiers rob and take away everything from the locals impudently, while we spend all our time proclaiming and actually carrying out our friendship with the Ukrainians. In our society, every little misconduct is severely punished, and even the officers, as lately, are immediately imprisoned in a fortress, and the SS are always kept without punishment, which is why Russians do not hate anyone as much as they hate the SS. July 9th. After dinner, I visited the SS Division Viking. Would I be 5 or 10 years younger, I probably would have joined the SS. Would have been the SS Führer. Sure, they are very narrow-minded and overly optimistic, but they are still the life of a new young Germany. With more discipline and a stronger focus on German ethical basis, a great deal is possible to make of their superb human material. There are the first Russian leaflets about our offensive to the north of Kharkov. In general, they contain distorted reports of our summaries with numerous times repeated threats to bring us a new Stalingrad. July 10th. It rained heavily yesterday and today, with frequent lightning storms. I hope this does not harm our offensive. The SS Viking Division marched out last night, presumably to participate in the military operations. July 12th. Americans landed in Sicily. It must be hoped that they can be thrown into the sea before long. We must keep Italy if we hope to hold off the Balkans. July 16th. We are again on alert and waiting. By day and night, tank divisions are moving past us. We are all full of anxiety and expectancy. In our area, as well as in the Russian area, the largest troop movements are going on just behind the front line. The situation between Belgorod and Orel is still unclear. July 17th. A big Russian offensive began yesterday in our division's territory. Their main attack was on the southern flank between the villages of Petrovskaya and Izium. There, our 457th Regiment was heavily beaten after the first attack. In the north, the Russians attacked with 3 or 4 divisions, after crossing the Donets River by 2 bridges and waiting. They had managed to get deep into our positions everywhere. They surrounded several villages in companies. The battles were violent. The state of affairs was extremely serious. My 466th Regiment was originally behind, being in the Army Reserve, and was unharmed by the first attack. By noon, the situation was more serious, and we were engaged. Serious battles continued without a break. We are already getting reports of the first losses. All day long, big units of German aircraft are active. SS Division Viking is moved back to our area to be the reserve. Throughout the day, there was terrible mess, negotiations, calls, and orders. Our battalion covers the division command post, under serious danger. They have even thrown into the fight a company of recovering men who just arrived from Germany last night. They have 1 rifle for 3 men. After the new negotiations between our Operations Department and the Operations Department of the Viking Division, which is reluctant to advance as they should, the Russians are getting more and more fortified, however. The behavior of them is frustrating to me. Well, we will see what the state of affairs will be tomorrow. Night and day, the hard fighting goes on. The powerful units of Russian aircraft attacked us, also bombarding all the rear lines. There were many air battles. The Russian got reinforcements and attacked again stubbornly and heavily. His losses were very high, but so were our losses. Many of my familiars and friends were already dead. For our division, it was the second very difficult day, ending, unfortunately, not as successfully for us as we all hoped. The local Russian breaking out, however, has been put down everywhere, but the enemy always gets reinforcements and fights hard and violently. There are no more reserves in our division. All of the men, up to the last unit, are in service. The Viking Division was attacked with tanks only at first. The 466th Regiment is disbanded. The remnants are integrated into the 457th Regiment. We hope it goes better tomorrow, since I do not consider my post as battalion adjutant critically necessary due to our heavy officer losses. I have requested the colonel to call me off. This is all for today. Please support this video with a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it. Goodbye, and see you all soon.